अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरि ओम तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। ओम नमो भगवते श्री रामकृष्णाय। Readings and reflections from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Advice to Householders, page 121. When the music was over, Sri Ramakrishna held Narendra in his arms a long time and said, "You have made us happy today." The floodgate of the Master's heart was opened so wide that night that he could hardly contain himself for joy. It was 8 o'clock in the evening. Intoxicated with divine love, he paced the long veranda north of his room. Now and then, he could be heard talking to the Divine Mother. Suddenly he said in an excited voice, "What can you do to me?" Was the Master hinting that Maya was helpless before him, since he had the Divine Mother for his support? Narendra, M. and Priya were going to spend the night at the temple garden. This pleased the Master highly, especially since Narendra would be with him. The Holy Mother, by this name Sri Ramakrishna's wife, Sri Sarada Devi, was known among his devotees. The Holy Mother, who was living in the Manahabad, had prepared the supper. Surendra, notice there, the name by which Sri Ramakrishna addressed Suresh Mitra, a beloved householder disciple. Surendra bore the greater part of the Master's expenses. The meal was ready, and the plates were set out on the southeast veranda of the Master's room. Near the east door of his room, Narendra and the other devotees were gossiping. Narendra: "How do you find the young men nowadays?" M: "They are not bad, but they don't receive any religious instruction." Narendra: "But from my experience, I feel they are going to the dogs. They smoke cigarettes, indulge in frivolous talk, enjoy foppishness, play truant, and do everything of that sort. I have even seen them visiting questionable places." M: "I didn't notice such things during our student days." Narendra: "Perhaps you didn't mix with the students intimately. I have even seen them talking with people of immoral character. Perhaps they are on terms of intimacy with them." M: "It is strange indeed, Narendra. I know that many of them form bad habits. It would be proper if the guardians of the boys and the authorities kept their eyes on those matters." They were talking thus when Sri Ramakrishna came to them and asked with a smile, "Well, what are you talking about?" Narendra: "I have been asking M about the boys in the school. The conduct of students nowadays isn't all that it should be." The Master became grave and said to M rather seriously, "This kind of conversation is not good. It isn't desirable to indulge in any talk but talk of God. You are their senior and you are intelligent. You should not have encouraged them to talk about such matters." Narendra was then about 19-year-old and M about 28. Thus admonished, M felt embarrassed, and the others also felt silent. While the devotees were enjoying their meal, Sri Ramakrishna stood by and watched them with intense delight. That night, the Master's joy was very great. After supper, the devotees rested on the mat spread on the floor of the Master's room. They began to talk with him. It was indeed a mart of joy. the master asked Narendra to sing the song beginning with the line, "In wisdom's firmament, the moon of love is rising full." Narendra sang, and other devotees played the drums and cymbals. The song, "In wisdom's firmament, the moon of love is rising full, and love's flood tide in surging waves is flowing everywhere. O Lord, how full of bliss thou art, victory unto thee. On every side shine devotees like stars surround the moon. Their friend, the Lord all-merciful, joyously plays with them. Behold, the gates of paradise today are open wide. The soft spring wind of the new day raises fresh waves of joy. Gently it carries to the earth the fragrance of God's love, till all the yogis, drunk with bliss, are lost in ecstasy. Upon the sea of the world unfolds the lotus of the new day, and there the mother sits enshrined in blissful majesty. And see how the bees are mad with joy, sipping the nectar there. Behold the mother's radiant face, which so enchants the heart and captivates the universe. About her lotus feet, bands of ecstatic holy men are dancing in delight. What matchless loveliness is hers! What infinite content pervades the heart when she appears! O brothers, says Premdas, I humbly beg you, one and all, to sing the mother's praise. Sri Ramakrishna sang and danced, and the devotees danced around him. When the song was over, the master walked up and down the northeast veranda where Hazra was seated with M. The master sat down there. He asked a devotee, "Do you ever have dreams?" Devotee, "Sir, yes. The other day I dreamt a strange dream. I saw the whole world enveloped in water. There was water on all sides. A few boats were visible, but suddenly huge waves appeared and sank them. I was about to board a ship with a few others when we saw a Brahmin walking over that expanse of water. I asked him, 'How can you walk over the deep?' The Brahmin said with a smile, 'Oh, there is no difficulty about that. There is a bridge under the water.' I said to him, 'Where are you going?' 'To Bhavanipur, the city of the Divine Mother,' he replied. 'Wait a little,' I cried. 'I shall accompany you.' Master, oh, I am thrilled to hear the story. Devotee, the Brahmin said, 'I am in a hurry. It will take you some time to get out of the boat. Goodbye. Remember this path and come after me.' Master, oh, my hair is standing on end. Please be initiated by a guru as soon as possible. Shortly before midnight, Narendra and the other devotees lay down on a bed made on the floor of the master's room. At dawn, some of the devotees were up. They saw the master, naked as a child, pacing up and down the room, repeating the names of the various gods and goddesses. His voice was sweet as nectar. Now he would look at the Ganges, now stop in front of the pictures hanging on the wall and bow down before them, chanting all the while the holy names in his sweet voice. He chanted Veda, Purana, Tantra, Gita, Gayatri, Bhagavata, Bhakta, Bhagavan. Referring to the Gita, he repeated many times, Tagi, Tagi, Tagi. The note says, this word is formed by reversing the letters of Gita. Tagi means one who has renounced. Renunciation is the import of this sacred book. Now and then he would say, O Mother, thou art verily Brahman, and thou art verily Shakti. Thou art Purusha, and thou art Prakriti. Thou art Virat, thou art the Absolute, and thou dost manifest thyself as a relative. Thou art verily the 24 cosmic principles. In the meantime, the morning service had begun in the temples of Kali and Radhakanta. Sounds of conch shells and cymbals were carried on the air. The devotees came outside the room and saw the priests and servants gathering flowers in the garden for the divine service in the temples. From the Nahavat floated the sweet melody of musical instruments befitting the morning hours. Narendra and the other devotees finished their morning duties and came to the master. With a sweet smile on his lips, Sri Ramakrishna was standing on the northeast veranda close to his room. Narendra, we noticed several sannyasis belonging to the sect of Nanak in the Panchavati. Master, yes, they arrived here yesterday. To Narendra, I would like to see you all sitting together on the mat. As they sat there, the master looked at them with evident delight. He then began to talk with them. Narendra asked about spiritual discipline. Master, bhakti, love of God, is the essence of all spiritual discipline. Through love, one acquires renunciation and discrimination naturally. Narendra, isn't it true that the Tantra prescribes spiritual discipline in the company of women? Master, that is not desirable. It is a very difficult path and often causes the aspirant's downfall. There are three such kinds of discipline. One may regard woman. Woman is a symbol of the Divine Mother. One may regard woman as one's mistress or look on oneself as her handmaid or as her child. I look on woman as my mother. To look on oneself as her handmaid is also good, but it is extremely difficult to practice spiritual discipline looking on woman as one's mistress. To regard oneself as her child is a very pure attitude. The sannyasis belonging to the sect of Nanak entered the room and greeted the master, saying Namo Narayanaya. Salutations to God. This is the way sadhus greet one another. Sri Ramakrishna asked them to sit down. Master, nothing is impossible for God. Nobody can describe His nature in words. Everything is possible for Him. There lived at a certain place two yogis who were practicing spiritual discipline. The sage Narada was passing that way one day. Realizing who he was, one of the yogis said, "You have just come from God Himself. What is He doing now?" Narada replied, "Why? I saw Him making camels and elephants pass and repass through the eye of a needle." At this, the yogi said, "Is that anything to wonder at? Everything is possible for God." But the other yogi said, "What? Making elephants pass through the eye of a needle? Is that ever possible? You have never been to the Lord's dwelling place." At 9 o'clock in the morning, when the master was still sitting in his room, Manmohan arrived from Konnagar with some members of his family. In answer to Sri Ramakrishna's kind inquiries, Manmohan explained that he was taking them to Calcutta. The master said, "Today is the first day of the Bengali month, an inauspicious day for undertaking a journey. I hope everything will be well with you." With a smile, he began to talk of other matters. When Narendra and his friends had finished bathing in the Ganges, the master said to them earnestly, "Go to the Panchavati and meditate there under the banyan tree. Shall I give you something to sit on?" About 10:30, Narendra and his Brahma friends were meditating in the Panchavati. After a while, Sri Ramakrishna came to them. Yam too was present. The master said to the Brahma devotees, "In meditation, one must be absorbed in God. By merely floating on the surface of the water, can you reach the gems lying at the bottom of the sea?" Then he sang, "Taking the name of Kali, Dive deep down, O mind, into the heart's fathomless depths, where many a precious gems lies hid. But never believe the bed of the ocean bare of gems. If in the first few dives you fail, with firm resolve and self-controls, dive deep and make your way to Mother Kali's realm. Down in the ocean depths of heavenly wisdom lie the wondrous pearls of peace, O mind, and you yourself can gather them if you but have pure love and follow the scripture's rule. Within those ocean depths as well, 6 alligators. The 6 passions are lust, anger, avarice, delusion, pride and envy. Lust, anger and the rest, swimming about in search of prey. Smear yourself with the turmeric of discrimination. The very smell of it will shield you from their jaws. Upon the ocean bed lie strewn unnumbered pearls and precious gems. Plunge in, says Ram Prasad, and gather up handfuls there. Narendra and his friends came down from their seats on the raised platform of the Panchavati and stood near the master. He returned to his room with them. The master continued, when you plunge in the water of the ocean, you may be attacked by alligators, but they won't touch you if your body is smeared with turmeric. There are no doubt 6 alligators, lust, anger, avarice and so on within you in the heart's fathomless depths. But protect yourself with the turmeric of discrimination and renunciation and they won't touch you. What can you achieve by mere lecturing and scholarship without discrimination and dispassion? God alone is real and all else is unreal. God alone is substance and all else is non-entity. That is discrimination. First of all, set up God in the shrine of your heart and then deliver lectures as much as you like. How will the mere repetition of Brahma profit you if you are not imbued with discrimination and dispassion? It is the empty sound of a conch shell. There lived in a village a young man named Padma Lochan. People used to call him Podo for short. In this village, there was a temple in a very dilapidated condition. It contained no image of God. Ashwatha and other plants sprang up on the ruins of its walls. Bats lived inside, and the floor was covered with dust and the droppings of the bats. The people of the village had stopped visiting the temple. One day, after dusk, the villagers heard the sound of a conch shell from the direction of the temple. They thought perhaps someone had installed an image in the shrine and was performing the evening worship. One of them softly opened the door and saw Padma Lochan standing in a corner blowing the conch. No image had been set up, the temple hadn't been swept or washed, and filth and dirt lay everywhere. Then he shouted to Podo, "You have set up no image here. Within the shrine, O fool, blowing the conch, you simply make confusion worse confounded. Day and night, 11 bats scream there incessantly. There is no use in merely making a noise if you want to establish the deity in the shrine of your heart. If you want to realize God, first of all, purify the mind. In the pure heart, God takes his seat. One cannot bring the holy image into the temple if the droppings of bats are all around. The 11 bats are our 11 organs, 5 of action, 5 of perception, and the mind. First of all, invoke the deity and then give lectures to your heart's content. First of all, dive deep, plunge to the bottom and gather up the gems. Then you may do other things. But nobody wants to plunge. People are without spiritual discipline and prayer, without renunciation and dispassion. They learn a few words and immediately start to deliver lectures. It is difficult to teach others Only if a man gets a command from God, after realizing him, he is entitled to teach. So welcome to this weekly class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We just now saw a passage of readings just for reflections. 2-3 points emerge from this passage. One is how Sri Ramakrishna loved Narendra. The bond between the Guru and the Sishya, that is the teacher and the taught, is something wonderful when we read the life of Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. When Naren is any time at his place at Dakshineswar, Sri Ramakrishna is beyond joy. He says that how he cannot even know what to do at that time. Just he is so happy to see Naren, and he talks to Divine Mother after that. And he comes to Narendra and Yam, they are talking. The thing Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel gives us every time is to think of God all the time. See, we have got a lot of other worldly matters also to look after, to attend to. And the same practice comes into our life in such a way that wherever we go, we start talking about the worldly matters. That's why Sri Ramakrishna in the last week we saw, he said to Divine Mother, "Oh, you brought me to Banaras. Banaras is such a holy place. And here also, people are discussing about the profit and losses of their business. Why I should come to Banaras if I have to hear those words?" That's what he was very lamenting about that. So, whenever the opportunity comes, Sri Ramakrishna specifically mentions that. Here Yam and Narendra were talking. The first we see that how Naren is asking Yam about how are the modern boys in his school, because Yam was the principal of the school and he has got a lot of children and boys are there. So he said, how are the modern boys? So Yam started telling, oh, they are not disciplined, they are gone to dogs, and Naren said they are gone to dogs, they smoke cigarettes and indulge in frivolous talks, all those things. So we find this type of things are being done by the young in every age. It is not only in that age, 18th, 19th century it happened. In 20th century also it happened, 21st century also is there. One statement made by Socrates to his disciple Plato says that Socrates is lamenting on his day's youth. He says how the youth have gone to dogs, they are not having discipline. All these things what Naren says today, that we are reading, the same thing description he gives. And it was in Socrates' time also it was like that. So all the time. So you cannot just make the world all very wonderful, morally correct, everything at one go. Because the world is like a dog's tail. Sri Ramakrishna explains that in another place. The dog's tail can be put into straight so long you hold it. When you leave it, the hold, then the dog will again become curly. So the curliness of the dog tail cannot be made straight. So this world will go on. So but then by discussing about that, by talking about that, by gossiping about that, what are you going to gain? This is the central core where Sri Ramakrishna's message comes. He says there is no use in that. And he is rebuking the master in presence of these young boys. And master means I am telling here our Yam, Master Moshe. In Bengali we call him Master Moshe. Of course in English translation master means Sri Ramakrishna, not Yam. So he scolds Yam. It isn't desirable to indulge in any talk, but talk of God. You are their senior and you are intelligent. You should not have encouraged them to talk about such matters. Even if Naren has raised that problem, you should have told him, no, let us not discuss. At least here. Here means in Dakshineswar. Because you have come to your temple. Why should you talk worldly matters there? That is the question. That's a very good lesson that we learn for our life. Because we go to different holy places in our life. How many holy places? Apart from the places, like temples we go, to satsangs we go. And when we all sit there and talking, and how wonderful it is to think of God at that time. Because in other times, in other places, we are unable to talk of or think of God. So in holy places at least, why not we put our mind on God? So this is a very good teaching that we get it. And another is, the two songs we saw in this passage. One was done by Premadas and another by Ramdas. Both are great spiritual aspirants, and they Siddha Purush, they got the darshan of Mother Kali. And so the great rishi like people in those days, just only 100 years before Sri Ramakrishna, they lived. And their songs were so gripping, and Narendra so beautifully sings songs. So Master asked him, why don't you sing a song? Then Narendra started singing this song. This song itself is, I will just take one verse from that. How beautifully it says, the soft spring wind of the new day raises fresh waves of joy. Gently, it carries to the earth the fragrance of God's love, till all the yogis, drunk with bliss, are lost in ecstasy. It's a beautiful thing. The soft wind that is blowing from God is bringing the God's message and the fragrance of God's love. And drunk with bliss, that is with Ananda, the yogis who are all there, they're lost in ecstasy. And likewise, he is go on explaining the impact of the God's love, which is coming on everyone. And then he beholds the mother's radiant face. And then he says, what matchless loveliness is hers. What infinite content pervades the heart when she appears. When mother appears before you, your heart becomes filled with contentment. It has got no yearning afterwards. I want this, I want that. All the vasanas of our desires will just wiped out. And it sees only the contentment is there. And it says infinite contentment. O brothers, says Premadas, I humbly beg you, one and all, to sing the mother's praise. Go on singing the praise of the mother. That is what Premadas says. So after that, Sri Ramakrishna asked one devotee, do you have dreams? And the devotee talks about his dream. The dream is really so wonderful. And he says he saw a vast expanse of water, all the sides. And he saw one boat, and he's sitting in the boat, and he saw one Brahmin walking over there. And suddenly he found how in the water this Brahmin was walking. So he asked him, how do you walk? He said, you are not drowned in the waters you are walking. He smiled and said, oh, there is under the water, there is a bridge. I am walking in the bridge. Then he says, why don't you take me? I will also come there. He said, no, it will take a lot of time for you to get down from the boat. No, now you have seen this path, you come again and then get into the path and you follow me. And this is a dream. And Master's expression, you see, after hearing that he says, oh, my hair is standing on end. Every dream is a response to some type of hint of either in the past life or in the future that is going to happen. Because mind has got no fixed place in time to keep it. Mind can see the time as such as infinite. So when the time, capital T, opens before you, you can see the particular portion of the time either as, say, 2 feet of time. Say, take it for just for understanding's sake. I'm telling time as a long line. A line from where it is coming you do not know, the origin. It is anadi, we say. And where it is going to end we do not know, because it is infinite. It is ananta. Now anadi and ananta, the time the line is going on. And now I see only, say, 2 feet of that line. And that 2 feet distance is what? The present life. I see that. So I am seeing. But a little before that, left side, or little after the right side, I do not see. Suppose we get that capacity to see the portion that is hidden to me in the left, which is considered as past. I will be able to see the past also. So now my eyes can see 180 degrees. If I have the eyes capacity to see 360 degrees, then I can see in the back also. So in the same way, that the time we see portions of the time only. That's why we are very much constricted with about judging another person. 2 brahmacharis went to Swami Madhavananji Maharaj and they were discussing with him about spiritual life. And Madhavananji was giving them instruction. So one brahmachari is telling Madhavananji Maharaj, Maharaj, this brahmachari much more knows. But then he is very junior to me. I saw him as a young boy studying in the school. But now today he has joined as a brahmachari. And I am now 8 years old brahmachari. He has just joined. But he knows more than me. Lot of things he knows. And he is junior to me. When he said junior, Madhavanji objected. How do you say junior? You are seeing only the portion of this birth in time scale. So you are considering him as junior because he was born 8 years after. So you are thinking he is junior. But do you know what sadhana he did in his past birth? You do not know. In the past birth he must have been very near to the attainment of realization of God. So he has come this time. So he has got a lot of knowledge about spirituality. So you can never see a junior or senior age-wise in spiritual life. So likewise, the time scale is such, you can go into the past. See, Ramakrishna says, when anybody comes before me, in front of me, I see him as a almirah with glass doors. So many things you keep in your house, the almirah is there. And there's a glass door is there. And when you look at the almirah, you look everything inside the almirah. Likewise, he is to see our past and the future also. Because the description, as I was telling, there's a line of time where the left and right you have closed it. Now you expand it. You expand it to say last birth or the previous birth or 500 births. It is possible. Buddha did that. When Buddha did his tapasya in Bodh Gaya, the place is still there, where Buddha sat there. When you go to Bodh Gaya, you can see that place where that he was sitting there. Not the Bodhi tree, one. His austerities are performed nearby. So, in one pond he sat, in the middle of it. And he says he remembered of his past 500 births. And each of the birth he told his disciple. And those have become as called Jataka tales, even now available now. So when you read Jataka tales, you find Buddha is talking, once upon a time I was a bull, I was an elephant, I was a cobra, king cobra, and I was a Brahman, and I was a Kshatriya, all these things he says. One after another, stories after stories. Very interesting stories. But in all these births, he was the topmost man. He was the hero. He was the king. And in the human birth also, in this birth also, he became the topmost. So we can see that 500 past births he could remember. So the yoga says, even the Yoga Sutra also says, you can get the memory of past birth. All the past birth memories are ingrained. They are like coded into our memory. And if you want, you can pick it up and see that. But what is the use finally? So this, why I am telling you is, the mind is like that. When it sees a dream, some of the dreams are such. Here, the future course of action, Sri Ramakrishna indicates to this devotee. Because he is explaining this. Please be initiated by a guru as soon as possible. This is one of the very good advice Sri Ramakrishna gives to you, because you saw a dream. You saw a man walking on the waters, and you wondered how he is walking. And he says, you come behind me, follow me. So that means a guru is going to come to you. you are ready to take initiation. Take that initiation. That's what he says. So, after this, we find Sri Ramakrishna talking to the Narendra, and he saw that in Dakshineswar, many sadhus used to come, and they all used to stay there and have their food also there. Rani Rasmani made such wonderful arrangement. Even today, when you go to Dakshineswar, in lunchtime, you can have the prasad there, Mother Kali's prasad there. So they give that. So there was a Nanak Panth, they call it. There's some of the Sardarji's sons, that is, saints have come. So in the morning only Naren saw them. When he went for his ablutions, he saw the Nanak Panthi sadhus, and he comes and tells Sri Ramakrishna as a news to him, I saw Nanak Panth sadhus have come. And Sri Ramakrishna smiles at him. I knew yesterday, sir. I have seen them yesterday, sir. You see, in the night these boys are sleeping, you see. But Sri Ramakrishna cannot sleep. So he goes around and he has seen them. So he says, yes. And while talking about bhakti, the Nanak disciples, they entered the room. And when they came, Master started talking about for God's powers. God is full of love, and God is full of power also. What is the power of God? That is, nothing is impossible for God. There's a beautiful story, a parable Sri Ramakrishna gives. When Narada was passing through a village, two yogis he met. And both of them asked Narada, hey, you are coming from God. What is God is doing now? It's a very nice question, what God is doing. What did you see him? How is he sitting there or drinking tea or what is he doing? That is what they wanted to know. But Narada said very funny thing. He said, God has taken in one hand a needle, and through the eye of the needle, he is trying to push through that eye of the needle big camels and elephants. That was something wonderful. One yogi said, no, you are talking lie. Or you have not gone there at all. You have not seen God what is doing. Another yogi says, what? What is impossible for God? What is not possible for God? Everything is possible for God. If God wants, he can create anything. He can do anything. So, impossibility that the all-powerful God is omnipotent. These are the three qualities in Sanatana's children's class once I mentioned. Three qualities of God. One is omnipotent, and he is omniscient, and he is, another one? Omnipresent. Correct. He is present everywhere, and he is knowing everything. Nothing can be hidden from God. You may go to the darkest part of your room and think that God does not look at me. No. Because he is within you. He knows everything. Nothing can be hidden from God. He is omniscient. And also, he is omnipotent. He can do everything. That is the God's power. So, in Maya we say God's power, which is called Maya in Advaita Vedanta. We say, what is Maya? What is this Shakti? Kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum shaknoti. Says, the kartum is, it can do. So whatever it wants, God wants, he can do it. And akartum, if he wants that not to happen anything, he can make it. And anyatha kartum, in another way also he can get it done. So that story goes like this, that Panchapandava's last brother, that is Sahadev. Sahadev was a great expert in astrology. Every day he meditates. In the morning he does puja. And when the puja is over, whoever comes to him and sits before him and asks something, he will tell by his power of astrology. So on that day, after the meditation, he opened his eyes. He saw the eldest brother Duryodhana was sitting there. So eldest brother has come. So he immediately got up and then he washed his feet and gave him upacharas, If a brother comes, how you do all those love and affection he showed him. And then he made him seated there. And he said, yes brother, why you have come to me? What is the matter? Then he said, Duryodhana says to him, look Sadeva, I know your power. Your power of words. After the meditation, whenever you speak anything through your knowledge of astrology, and that comes true. So I want to have one request to you. So put a request to you, can you give me that, what I want? I said, brother, what is that? You are asking, and shall I refuse it? I will definitely tell you. What do you want to know? Then Duryodhana says, tell me the day on which I will start this Mahabharata war and in which I must get the victory over the Pandavas. What a difficult question he put it. And Sahadeva is part of the Pandavas. He is one of the Pancha Pandavas. And he has to give a date to Duryodhana. By starting a war on that day, Duryodhana will get the success. Immediately he closes his eyes. He understands which Tithi, if Duryodhana starts the war, he will get victory. He then pointed out to him, this is the Amavasya Tithi, you can start the war, you will get victory. So this is over. Now the news spread to the other Pandavas and Panchali, that is Draupadi. And he came back to his palace and Draupadi was terribly upset. And the other 4 brothers were terribly upset. They simply rebuked him because he was the youngest, you see. So all of them rebuked him and Bhima was about to beat him. How did you give a date for Duryodhana's victory? We are struggling all this day. 13 years we were outside. We were not in the city also. We didn't get a good food also to eat. How much suffered for 13 years and the war is going to start and you have shown him the date. How bad you are. So now what to do? So all of them sat and thought of Sri Krishna. Only Krishna can protect us from this evil effect. So what to do? They remembered Krishna and Krishna came. Krishna said, Draupadi, is there anything for me to eat something? What did you cook? She said, I hadn't cooked anything because we are all disturbed by Sahadev's these words. What he did, you ask him. Then Krishna asked Sahadev, what did you do? So I told the date to Duryodhana. That is a very bad thing you have done. So what to do? But Krishna has got a responsibility to protect the Pandavas. If he doesn't protect the Pandavas, the dharma cannot be established. The very purpose of Krishna's avatara was to establish dharma. So where dharma is there he has to be siding with. So Pandava's side dharma is there. So he had to protect them. Now if they all die in the war, then there will be no dharma protected. So how he will establish dharma? So he said, okay, let me do something. We all know that Krishna has got lot of powers. Omnipotent. I am coming to that point. Omnipotency means all powerful. So Krishna suddenly took on that day he took the Amavasya day that he was telling, the previous day, the previous evening, Krishna, the sun is about to set up. Krishna stood there and he took a cosmic form. This is called Vishwarupa. His cosmic form he took. And he is the Lord God, Supreme God at the time. And then Krishna called 3 devatas. One is Prithvi Mata, another is sun and another moon. All the 3 he called them to appear before him. And then Prithvi came first. She stood, folded her hands, and behind her sun, and behind sun moon was standing. Now Krishna said to Prithvi, turn back. And she turned back to a sun glory, so much of light. She couldn't see the moon. The moon was completely nowhere there. Krishna said, hey, you all stood in one line and this is eclipse. So today is Amavasya, not tomorrow. So God declared, on that day evening, all the people, the Brahmins who are all doing tarpan, etc., they are all surprised because suddenly how the Amavasya Tithi has been preponed by one day. So they all did tarpan on that day. So the Amavasya next day was put one day before and they finished there. So when Duryodhana started the war on a wrong day, thinking that it was Amavasya, it was not so. And he lost the battle. So this is how the omnipotency of God we see that. How Sri Ramakrishna says, God is, for God, nothing is impossible for him. So today is a very holy day also. Today Swami Purnanandaji gave a message, happy Pentecost day. Yes. So today Pentecost also is very interesting. So your discussing today during the teaching how it was wonderful that after 50 days of the Easter, and then after how many days after the ascension of Christ, this happened. On that day, all the 12 disciples of Christ came together. And in that meeting, our Blessed Virgin Mary also was there. So all of them were sitting together and were thinking about Lord Jesus. At that time, suddenly a very big wind blew at that time. I am reading that from the Bible, that passage. It's a very small passage. And suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind, and it filled the entire house in which they were. A noise came, a sound came. It was like a huge wind. Then there appeared to them tongues as of fire. Several fire flames came up in front of them, which parted and came to rest on each one of them. They looked like tongues. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in different tongues as the Spirit enabled them to proclaim. To proclaim the glory of God, they spoke in different tongues. Generally, it is understood as in different languages they spoke. That's why, maximum languages Bible has been translated. The God's message, it has been translated to maximum languages, you can say. So in different languages, the disciples spoke on that day. So nobody knew what was the language, because they're all different languages, unknown to them. Now it's all over the world. The message of Lord is spreading is because of this particular day. So on this day, the red color is very important. So I'm happy today when devotee brought us red flowers today to place it in the altar. I'm thankful to her for bringing. And it is such a wonderful day that on this day the glory of God must be remembered. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says in this passage, and the Prem Das also says, sing the glory of God, sing the glory of God. Let us remember the glory of God. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Paramesha Medyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.